Okay, great. For anyone that's watching on the stream, obviously, or on the recording, obviously, please take care of your own body. I can't be there to stop you from hurting yourself. So just make sure that you don't do anything that doesn't feel right or doesn't sit right in the body, especially early in the morning. Early in the morning is when we tend to be a little bit stiffer. So just be more gentle, be more kind to yourself. That's what I say. I'm trying to be kind to myself all the time, but you know, it doesn't always help. Perfect. So we're going to start on our backs today. So I'm going to come and join. What I want you to do is I want you to just have a little lie down on your back. You're just going to allow yourself to release down. I want the knees to be bent. And I want the feet to be slightly close to your sit bones. And then from here, I just want you to very gently allow the legs to open. So we're just going to come into a nice reclined Baddha Konasana. Now this is where your blocks come in, if you'd like to. If I just go get mine. What you can do from here is just place your blocks underneath your thighs. So you can just place them like so. And they can also be quite high, so you can prop the legs quite high if you need. And we're just going to take our hands. I just want you to place your hands in like a little triangle just on the base of your stomach around your hip bones. And we're just going to relax here. So what I want you to feel is this nice opening through the inner thighs. I want you just to come into your breath in this space. And I want you just not to change anything to begin. Don't alter anything. But instead just come into your breath. Come into this full inhale and exhale. And just allow your breath to gently begin to lengthen, noting the expansion of the stomach, this lateral movement of your ribs, so this expanding across the mat if you can. And I want you to exhale all the breath out. And just hold at the bottom on an easy exhale. Just noting and feeling how this breath retention feels in your body. And then when you need, inhaling. And then a full exhale out. And again, just holding at the bottom for as long as you can. Before inhaling. Again, moving at your own speed. So if this speed is too quick for you, then please take longer. If it's too slow, then please inhale when you need. Don't ever feel a sense of panic or a sense of tension building in the body with that exhale. And just do around 2 to 3 more rounds, exactly like this. Just feeling in that breath, drawing yourself into this moment, into your body, into this present space. Really nice. Really beautiful. And then on your last inhale, just holding at the top of the inhale now. And just beginning to open the arms out to the side as you inhale, maybe even up to the diagonals. Just exhale. Begin to just inhale, the legs open, and exhale, the legs closed over to one side and then the other. So just taking tiny little twists with the torso. And again here, I don't need you to focus too much on what's right or wrong in the position. Instead, I just want you to begin to draw a little bit of awareness into just where your body is. How are you feeling? Where are you tight? Where are you feeling quite good? Has this breath dropped you into a nice calm space? Are you still holding your breath? Just begin to notice these little things. And maybe feel that with each gentle movement from side to side, the spine might get a little bit more mobile. You might even be able to lift the pelvis a little bit further up to the side. And then from here, I want you to completely roll onto one side. We're going to roll onto our right. We're just going to place our head onto our inside bicep, or the inside of our right arm onto our bicep. And I just want you to lie here for a moment, just taking and feeling this lovely lengthening of the body, this release through the back. And then when you're ready, using that left arm, we're going to gently draw ourselves up and into a seated position. So again, just be aware of closing the eyes and closing or crossing the feet. And keeping your awareness fully in your body here in this space. And then when you're ready, keeping those eyes closed, again, just trying to maintain quite an introspective awareness of your body, of the sensations that are currently going on. I want you to hook your hands over the front of your knees. And we're just going to very gently begin to round through the lower back. So we're just posteriorly tilting the pelvis back. And I want you to start to feel the shoulder blades naturally start to move outwards and slightly upwards as you take a full flexion through the spine, allowing the chin to drop down towards the chest. And as you're here, just take little movements of the head from side to side, just gently easing out through the neck. You can even take little figures of 8. Again, we're just being quite gentle as we warm up before we get moving a little bit more. And then using your hands as a little guide. And I want you to imagine you're sending your chest forward, draw those shoulder blades back and together, and begin to squeeze up through the back of the body, extending through the spine. Again, we're staying almost like we're lifting from the hips. I want this extension and this lengthening of the back. I don't want you just to think about arching it. Almost try and pull those arms through and into a full extension using your knees. And then we're going to do this again. We're going to press away, rounding back. And then draw it forward. Press away. And use this breath. So I like to inhale as I move back. And then exhale as I move forward. But if the reverse suits better for your body, again, your breath is for you, not for me. So as long as you are breathing and it's continual and you feel it long and smooth, it's absolutely fine. Good. Now from here, we're going to come into a neutral position. I want you to now turn towards your right leg. And we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to hook our hands, I can turn to face you, around that right knee. But now we're going to flex. And I want you to imagine that you're almost going to circle your ribs to the left. And then we're going to circle them to the right. And then reflex. So now instead of going forward and back in this little linear movement, we're going to try and circle. And I want you just to start to feel little other movements through the ribs. You get into the intercostals a little bit. You can also feel the obliques working quite a lot. And you feel this different awareness of your mobilization at the back. Good. And maintaining this slight rotation. So we don't want to do it straight on. We want to have this very gentle rotation into the back body. And then circle in the opposite way. So again, we're going to flex back, laterally slide or glide those ribs to the right, circle them forward, and then over to the left. And again, just do this nice and gently. And it's going to be really tempting as you do this to hold your breath, but really focus on finding that inhale and exhale. And that's actually more important in a way than the movements that you're doing. Because often the breath will create a real calmness. It'll drop us more into that parasympathetic state if we're doing it correctly. And that will actually help relax the nervous system and therefore the muscles without you doing anything anyway. So good, release. And then we're going to come over to that left side. The right hand is now over the left hand. Again, don't worry if it's slightly tighter or looser on this side. We're always a little bit unequal or imbalanced. That's fine. And we're just going to start to gently flex back and just circle those ribs. And it's almost like you're trying to draw a really clear circle with just the lower rib part of your rib cage. Good. And just play with that movement. It might feel almost a little bit impossible to start, and that's absolutely fine. I want you just to close those eyes and just really breathe into it, making it as small as you need, and much more about that inward connection, that inward awareness of where the body is. Good, just 2 more. Try to move from the low ribs, not just the hips. So don't just circle from the hips. Really try and find this little rib cage movement. So we're isolating through the thoracic. Yeah. 2 more. Make sure you've got in both directions. And then from here, we're going to slowly begin to draw the elbows behind our backs. And I want you just to relax the head down and everything's going to slump. Because this is something that we do when we take our shoulders into extension. We often stay in this kind of really rounded position. So I want you to come into this position. We're going to move as far as we can in, flex through the spine, really try and think about protracting and rounding through the upper back. And then from here, we're going to reverse this. I want you to draw the neck back like a little chicken. We're going to squeeze the shoulders together and behind. So we're really starting to actively extend through the shoulders and externally rotate. And then we're going to press the arms down towards the floor and start to lift them up and behind. Again, try not to overly arch into the lower back, but try and think about lengthening up. So it's not about over compensating in any way. It's more about just allowing the spine to extend and lift as a unit. That's what we want. We want it all to work together. We're just going to hold it for 5. And maybe here, if you can, think about just circling the arms, maybe circling the shoulders, just creating little figures of 8 if that's in your body. Good. If you'd like to stay still, then that's also an option. I like to wiggle and move. Good. For another 5, 4, 3. Keeping that breath. 2, 1. Now from here, we're going to slowly let go of the hands, but keep them back behind us. Good. Now, if you're very, very tight, you can take a strap in between the hands. Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to just start to lift your right arm up and into a nice overhead flexed position. So you can see here that I'm reaching long with my arms. I just want to slowly begin to draw my left arm into internal rotation and my right arm into external rotation. And then we're going to begin to change, creating a really nice movement through the arms. Now, I'm not trying to grab my hands. However, if you are very, very tight, you can actually just hold in a nice isometric here instead of moving. However, I do like the kinetic movement of the stretch to begin because I feel like it's just a little bit more accessible for the mind and for the body. And again, I'm not thinking about trying to actually grab my hands. I'm not going into a full Gomukhasana on either side. What I'm doing instead is I'm actually looking at reaching long. So if I turn my body, thinking about reaching my arms as long as I can, to the sides and then releasing, reaching as long as I can to the sides. And what you may even notice with this as well is that one of your shoulders might have an easier or a better chance at externally or internally rotating. So you might be like, oh, this is great. And then you might go to the other side and you'll be like, what? Why can't I move? And that's completely fine. Okay, so don't worry. Normally one arm is better at one action than the other. Just really try when you're doing the internal rotation not to overly round and allow that shoulder to come back. So really try and find that lovely external rotation or the extension of the chest as you're moving into that internal. Good. Hold here. 2 more. Really nice. Good. Lovely shoulders. Fantastic. And then change. Nice. Now from here we're going to take both arms. We're going to reach them both up towards the sky. Take a full breath. Really, really reach. You can even maybe take a little extension through the back if this feels good for you. And then we're going to start to bow forward. And as you bow, I want you to round through the spine and place the hands down and in front of your knees. Good. Now from here, you're going to tuck the toes, come into a nice hands and knees position, and just step yourself back. Now, I just want us to begin to walk out through the palms. So we're going to start to now begin a little bit of weight bearing. We're going to start to fire up the body at a touch. But before we do that, I just want you to start to weight bear into those wrists, into the shoulders. Again, keeping that connection to your breath. So actually get people sometimes practicing or moving completely with their eyes closed for the whole, for their whole session or their class. And that's because it actually brings a much more introspective awareness into everything that's happening with the body. So we have our proprioception, which is the movements that we're doing, and then our introspection or our interoception is what's happening on the inside. So the sensations that we're feeling and all of the awareness of everything on the inside of the body. So yoga is really good for bringing in that interoception because we're encouraged a lot to draw our awareness inside. Walking those hands around through all different positions, maybe even playing with the knuckles and the fingers. Good. And then from here, we're going to plant the hands down, index fingers pointing forward, making sure there's a very gentle external rotation of the arm bones. We're just going to extend the right leg back. And now we're just going to feel a nice extension through that right knee, lift up through the lower belly and really press that leg back. Feel it opening up into the ankle. From here, we're going to shift forward, planche through the shoulders, extend the wrists and flex the ankle forward into a point, and then ripple it back. Good. And we're just going to do that plantar flex and then extend or dorsiflex. Good. So we're just pointing and extending that ankle. Good. One more time. Really nice. Now from here, we're going to rotate. As you rotate, just circle the arm all the way around. Come into a little supported side plank. Come into a nice waist stretch. Moving into the lower back. We're going to turn the gaze over our back shoulder. Follow the hand if you can. Keep it in your gaze. Follow it round, 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 round. Good. And then touch. Good. So we're now just opening up through the shoulders of the spine a little bit more. Using our eyes, keeping the awareness into the hand. Good. 2 more times. Fantastic. From here, we're going to plant that hand down. We're going to slowly come through into a little plank. And again, we're just going to breathe. If you don't want to come into the plank, just pop both knees down, modify it. Otherwise, keep or bring that breath into the body here. So you begin to load a little bit more into the shoulders, just moving back and forth. And then we're going to drop the right knee and do the same thing here. We're just going to start to really shift forward with our hands, squeezing the fingers back, and then extend that ankle. Good. Shift forward, extend the wrist, pull the fingers back, and then send that heel. Wonderful. Maybe even taking little circles with the ankle here as you move through these different ranges. And then we're going to do the same thing, root down through that right arm, shift into a nice side plank. And then we're just going to start to follow the gaze around, this time looking at the left hand. And feel that rotation before drawing all the way up. Nice. And again, lifting up. And then back. So I'm only moving as far as I can keep sight of my hand. And I'm allowing my head to follow. So I'm beginning to release out through my neck and mobilize my neck while I'm doing it. Good. From here, we're going to replant that hand. This time, we're now going to step the right leg back and begin to extend the legs enough that you can shift those hips up towards the sky. Press the hands down. Keep the knees bent if you need. And we're just going to start to just gently rotate the legs from side to side. So again, this isn't set in stone. I don't need you to do it in a specific way. I just want you to begin to bend the knees and start to just gently squat the legs down towards the right, and then rotate and move them towards the left. And we're just going to do that a couple of times, just feeling this gentle rotation through the spine. As you're doing this, become aware of the hands. Note if you're starting to release them out and onto the outsides of the palms. If you are, root down through the inner part of that hand. So the inner knuckle, index finger knuckle is pushing down. Might even have a gentle pull back of the fingers here as well. So begin to just really feel this strong connection of the palms into the floor. Wonderful. Now we're going to start to lift the legs very gently, not massively. I want you to rotate the knees towards the left. And you're just going to start to just gently circle that left leg up and around. And then you're going to step it in front. And you're going to rotate. And then we're going to slowly circle that right leg up and around. And then we're going to step it in front of the left. And we're just going to start to move the body up towards the front of the mat. Keep those arms straight and connected. And just feel this gentle switch of the legs from side to side. Good. 2 more. Wonderful. And then we're going to stay in a nice rotated or crossed position with the feet. So the right leg is now in front of the left. We're going to gently begin to interlace the hands. Again, if you need to, you can use a strap or something behind you to interlace the hands. So we're just going to allow ourselves to drop down and into a little Uttanasana forward fold. And as you're here, just begin to maybe bend the knees and straighten. Try not to overextend the neck. Allow a bit of a length to move in. The top of the head is dropping towards the ground. And again, just feel maybe a little engagement through the inner thighs as you start to lift from the center. Good to really lift the hips up. Sit them down. Lift them up. Good. Sit them down. Lift them up. Keep those arms reaching up for another 3. And maybe note how there's a level of instability. Good. Now from here we're going to bend. Draw the arms around. We're going to now spiral. Spiral, spiral, spiral. See if you can do this with just your legs. Good. And then we're going to place those hands on the floor. We're going to walk our palms towards the front of the mat. And we're going to repeat that whole movement this time towards the back of the mat. So we're going to come back into that plank. Shift the hips into your nice down dog. And then straight away we're just going to start to cross the feet around. And just start, maybe, if you'd like to now, you can start to take the leg a little bit higher. Maybe start to explore a little bit more of a circle of the hips. Maybe start to extend that leg a little bit more. Start to really reach, drawing up onto the toes. And just feeling that full movement of the body. Remembering we are early in the morning, so if you're feeling quite tight when you're doing these movements, it's absolutely fine. And then when you get to the top, this time we're going to land with the left leg in front. And I want you to very slowly again take a gentle bend. Don't take the shoulders over and behind you, or the arms over and behind you this time. We're actually going to flex the shoulders overhead, allowing the arms to reach nice and long. And this time we're going to do the same thing. Keep the neck relaxed. I want you to start to extend those legs as much as you can, pressing the arms out in front of you. So if you need to widen the arms to do this, absolutely fine. If you need to place them on the floor and slide them along the ground, also fine. And just note that maybe is this cross, is having the left leg in front, maybe slightly more challenging? Is it slightly easier? Does it feel the same? And then in the same way, we're just going to start to extend and bend. Extend and bend. And just beginning to really lengthen through this spine. Good, maybe starting to try and close the eyes here as well. Challenging. Nice. Good. Fantastic. Really, really good. And then you should be at the back of the mat now. And from here, we're just going to very gently start to release the hands down. I want you to now unravel up, keeping the legs crossed. We're just going to start to slowly shrug the shoulders up. And then we're going to exhale. From here, we're going to unravel. We're going to turn back to the front of the mat, and you're just going to slowly squat down, taking the arms up and overhead. You're going to come into a nice chair pose. Good. And then from here, I just want you to start to circle through the ankles. So we're going to sit down. Imagine that you're almost sitting backwards. So often when we go into chair or when we go into any form of squat movements, we send our weight forwards, which is fine. Like that's just taking more weight into the toes. It means that you're going to feel it a little bit more into the quads and the front of the thighs. So I want us to really target the glutes in this particular variation. So I want you to sit back. You can almost imagine that you're lifting your toes off. If you can, find this nice drop back through the sit bones. Keep the lower abs drawing up and away from the thighs. So that's the action I want. The hips go back, the belly stays off the thighs, so you're keeping a nice extension through the torso. And then we're just going to start to circle the legs. And I don't want you to worry, okay? So often we're all like, oh, we can't inwardly or outwardly rotate our knees. No, you can. You just don't need to do it past a point of injury. So I want you to actually feel what it's like to rotate those legs fully, sweep them in and out. It's almost like the Bee Gees. Is it the Bee Gees? I feel like there's a really famous band that used to do this, like weird leg movements. I can't remember, but anyway, you know. Someone let me know after class what it was. So you're going to do this nice and easily. Good. And then from here, you're going to settle it down. Allow the heels to root, maybe lift the toes, try and maybe drop another inch. And I want you just to rotate towards your right. And we're going to do a little bit of a hug. We're just going to hug ourselves. Create this lovely full rotation. And then we're going to inhale. Stand, look up towards the sky. And then we're going to release down, back into that chair, sit back. And just gently hug ourselves towards the left. And then we're going to inhale. And again, just do this a few more times. Using that breath, creating that really nice rotation through the spine and up. And then we're going to sit down, trying to really warm up through the lower body and the torso. Good. 2 more. Sit down and up and down. Good. And up. This time we're going to sit down. Keep the torso upright. Make sure the knees aren't knocking in together, but we're trying to keep them aligned in a nice neutral position. Then from here, I want you to start to lean forward like you're being pulled. We're leaning. Try and maybe draw your ribs towards your kneecaps. Keep the lower belly lifted. Keep drawing those arms long. Good. If you can extend the legs fully, that's great. And just start to reach the arms as long as you can into a nice Uttanasana forward fold. And then maybe, it's early in the morning, so don't worry about it if you don't want to. Maybe trying to even test your balance a little bit, maybe lifting up onto the toes and just holding here. Finding a gaze fixation point on the ground. So in yoga, that's your drishti. It's just looking at a point and holding that point. Allowing the breath to settle into the body, feeling this active lengthening of the hamstrings. So we're not just passively hanging here. I want everything to be lengthening, to be reaching, the arms to be long. Then we're going to place the hands down. We're now going to shift the weight fully into the palms. And then we're going to step back. Whew. Come into your plank position. Feel this nice active extension of the front of the hips. We're just going to pop the knees onto the ground, sit back and just gently draw yourself forward. and through onto the ground. Good. From here, we're just going to shrug the shoulders back, lift up, find a little baby cobra. From here, think about extending through the front of the chest. Pull the hands back and the shoulders in full extension. Keep the hands in connection if you need. We're then going to tuck the toes, release down and feel the whole body lift as one unit to then press back and into your downward facing dog and just walk it out. We're going to do that a couple of times. Just beginning to warm up through the upper body and the lower body. So we're going to ripple forward, come into your plank. Nice. If you want to now take this into a full chaturanga, slow lower, shifting the weight forward, gently drop towards the ground, maybe lift into a fuller cobra or even an up dog. And then from here, lowering back through, coming into your full press up, to then press back. Good. And we're just going to do that 3 more times. Full movements through the breath. Really nice. Good. Lift it on up. Extend, extend, extend. Yes, fantastic. Allow the breath to move. Drop down. See if you can lift straight back up. Yes, fantastic. 2 more. Finding that smoothness of breath. So as we're doing this, it's not actually about the postures, it's not about what you're doing. I want you just to maintain that full linking within each movement, that full breath control. So it's almost like a meditation. This is actually how I see all of my yoga asana. No matter how difficult, you try and make it into a meditation. Good. Fantastic. Lift it on up. Extend the spine forward. Yes, good. Press back through into your chaturanga. Lift up into your plank. Fantastic. And then press it back, hold into your downward dog. Really nice. Now from here, I just want you to start to press down through your right arm. And you're going to start to lift onto the left fingertips. So we're just going to start to load into that right arm alone. Good. Now from here, I just want you to do the same thing as what we did at the beginning. If I turn this way so you can see a bit clearer. I want you just to begin to rotate the hips from side to side. Just moving now through the pelvis. So I want to feel this lateral movement and this gentle rotation of the pelvis. Good. If you feel comfortable, maybe starting to take the left arm and just place it into a gentle inward rotation, hovering it off the small of your back. Good. If you can, maybe starting to still the feet and just hold here. If the arm lifted is too much, you can place the fingers in the middle of the mat or just keep them on your fingertips next to your right. You can even just do all of this in 2 hands as well. Just pressing away. And then from here, very slowly, I want you to shift your left leg in line or just on the inside line of your right arm. So you're creating this long line between the body. We're just going to hover the right leg off the floor. And I just want you to hold here. So we're not taking it into a really big range. The focus point here is actually on extending through the elbow. So we're really extending the elbow, making sure we're not bending it out, pressing out through the arm. So I actually want a little bit of an elevation of the shoulder. We want a real stability into that shoulder joint. So it's going to be really tempting to do this and to kind of collapse down just to find balance. And I want the opposite. I want you to press and really extend away. Good. Now, if you feel comfortable, keep that gaze fixation point in front of you. Find your breath. Maybe start to lift that leg up to any height that is good for you. And we're just going to hold for 5. Good. For 4. For 3. For 2. Drop the leg down, cross the leg underneath and replace the left arm onto the ground. So now we're back in that little cross-legged position that we started in at the beginning of, or that we were working in earlier on in class. Same thing now, we're going to shift into the left arm. Come up onto the right fingertips. This time, take your right hand to the center or behind. And then in the same way, we're going to find that focus point, making sure that that right leg is now in line with your left.
Maybe point the toes, breathe in through the lower belly, send the foot back, and then maybe, if you feel comfortable, lifting the leg and just holding for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, before releasing the hand down, and this time stepping that the left leg into the middle of the mat, drawing the right leg next to it now, with both feet turned into a nice internal engagement. So we're not going to have them hip separate. And then from here, I just want you to start to rotate the heels out and then in. And then we're going to try and maybe turn the toes out and then in into your down dog. So just play with this little movement. Out and then in, out and then in. Good. So you're feeling quite a lot of extension through the ankle joint. So having to work through the feet quite a lot. Turn those toes out, join the feet together, and then moving the toes. So we're very used to kind of moving the heels. I actually want you to move the toes now. It's really, really much harder because you actually have to lift that foot up. Good. Last time. And then shifting the weight into that left leg. We're going to draw the right leg up and in towards the sky now. Bending the knee, and we're just going to shift it forward straight away. And just pop it in between the hands. Good. Extend that leg back. We're going to do that same movement now, but this time with the heel. So I want you just to start to rotate the foot out and then in, keeping your hands. If you need blocks underneath your palms because you're quite rounded, please pop them down, rotate them out and then in, and just keep that knee forward as well if you can. Out and then in, and just feel how this whole movement is coming from the thigh and is actually creating a want to rotate the pelvis. So this is actually what's happening when you go into your warriors, when you go into anything with a slight rotation of that back leg. So just be aware that we don't rotate from the pelvis straight away, that we actually initiate it from the thigh. Good. 2 more. Fantastic. Now from here, we're going to rotate to 45, plant the foot down. Find this lovely lateral tilt through the ankles. I want you to press out through the outside of that foot. Plant down through the right, the sole of the right foot here. We're going to start to extend the spine forward. So we're not lifting fully yet. We're just going to extend, lift up through the belly. Now we're going to open the arms out to the side, and we're going to rotate the palms up. See if you can scoop the chest up, 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 up. Come into a very gentle extension. Good. And then we're going to rotate the arms in, and we're going to curl forward. Really nice. And we're just going to do that again. Rotate up and out, and lift. Rotate back and forward. So we're just building a little bit of heat into this front thigh. Just do that 4 more times for me. Yeah, good. Now note if you start to overly extend the lower back. Again, the lower back will extend here, it's absolutely normal, but we don't want everything to be coming from the lower back. So sink that hip down a little bit more for me. Good. Draw in through the lower abs a little bit more. Yes. So you should suddenly feel the glutes go, oh, hi there. Nice. For another 2. Good. For another 1. Fantastic. Now we're going to come and stay into that lovely lunge here. Back foot is still externally rotated. We're in this nice extension. Now all I want you to do is you're going to press that front knee forward and you're going to rotate your torso so that your left arm is just touching or reaching towards your left foot. Hold. And then we're going to rotate the opposite way. Good. Again, we're not moving the back foot. So the back foot is staying grounded. We're just beginning to rotate through the body a little bit. And just feel this quite small movement and a nice control. Again, using the breath. Keep that front knee bending forward. Nice and simple. Nothing too crazy. Good. And then maybe we can start to add a little movement of the arms. Sit down a little bit further. Maybe we can start to lift the back heel. Rotate a little bit further. And again, start to explore this movement in the body. Maybe even taking it all the way down, allowing those hips to release. Wonderful. finding this movement, this flow that feels good for you. And just try and make it as linked as possible. Good. So make sure those hips are staying low. It's going to be really simple and really easy when you're here to just kind of arch and take everything into the back. I want you to sit down so that the movement, you're having to almost send the hips slightly forward and then lengthen out and reach. And then that means that you have more control to sit the hips further down and towards the ground if you want. Yeah, so we're just firing up and initiating it from the pelvis or the pelvic region. Better. Yeah, really nice. Good. For 3 more. Really, really, really good. Really wonderful. Now on your last time, we're actually going to cross back across the body. So we're going to come into that cross body twist, looking towards the right leg. Now from here, all I want you to do is we've got 2 options. The first one is you're just going to lower the back knee down and you're going to twist the knees into this little Gomukhasana position or externally, but add this externally rotated and adducted position. If you want a little bit of a challenge, I mean, I know it's early, but maybe it's not early when you're doing this. So what you can do is you can try and rotate the legs down together. So you lower them nice and slowly. And what you're going to get is a nice engagement with the glutes. Good. We're now going to very gently sit back, but we're going to keep the butt hovering. So as I do this, I'm sitting, but I'm not allowing my butt to actually lower. And then going to lift up, inhale. And I'm going to re-rotate, tuck, and lift. From here, we're going to spiral back into that nice rotation, and this time again maybe try and drop that hip down, maybe lifting the back toes, coming into a little Skandasana, and then we're going to lift and we're going to rotate, and we're just going to repeat this now very slowly, controlling the movements of the legs, going as far through each of the ranges as feels good for you. Good. Really nice. Trying to control them, getting those hips nice and mobile, but in a nice controlled way. Yes, good. See if you can lower. Yeah, good. Fantastic. So when you're lowering as well, make sure that when you're here, you're lower, 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 squeeze, 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 squeeze. This internal engagement of the thighs is what's going to control the movement. And then we're going to reach like we're sitting back and trying to hug something. And then from here you lift, and then you re-spiral up and around. Okay? Good. Yeah. Fab. That's it. That's it. Squeeze the inner thighs. Yeah, awesome. Now try and lift back up. Keep those hips lifted. Yeah, fantastic. And then from here, unravel and just move into that open twist, a little Skandasana. Good. Awesome. Last time, we're now going to spiral around. Instead of coming into your Gomukhasana this time though, what I want you to do is you're actually going to release your left arm down. We're now just going to slowly allow the whole torso to release, and we're just going to drop the hips. We're going to come into almost, I call this like a mermaid, because this is how I feel mermaids would sit on rocks if they were here. It's just my image that I have of this position. And then from here, all I want you to do is you're just going to slightly take your your right arm, around behind you. You're just going to try rooting down through the left leg. You're just going to try and open the hips up, come into a little mini back plank, and then release them down. So we're just rotating with that leg. Now, if you don't want to rotate with the hips off, you can also just do this. So it's almost just allowing the legs just to ease out a little bit through a nice internal and external rotation. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, you can take the arms off as well and just do this, working a nice active flexion. Good. Last time, we're going to squeeze down, extend that leg out, lower it out in front of you. And then from here, just begin to rotate the legs from side to side, easing into the hips. We're going to now externally rotate fully with the legs, keeping the feet slightly wider than hips. I don't want them to be super close, slightly wider, externally rotate. And now we're going to imagine we're moving from our pelvis into a little anterior tilt. So we're going to slightly Send our hip bones forward and towards the thighs. I want you to reach the arms nice and long, 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 long. And we're going to flex, or sorry, not flex, but extend the ankles into a nice dorsiflexion. Good. Now from here, I just want you to round the spine. So we're not actually thinking about getting, even if we can go super flat, I don't want you to go really flat. I want you just to think about reaching, finding this little anterior tilt, and then we're going to flex. And we're just going to drop the spine down, release the neck, and you might get a really, almost like a little bit of a nerve floss. So you're going to get a lengthening or a traction all the way up through the back of the legs, up through the spine to the neck. Just hold. And then from here, we're going to extend, trying to stay in that depth, trying to lengthen out as much as possible, full control, forward. Then we're going to flex and extend. Keep those legs externally rotating. So we don't often work external rotation in this way. So really try and actively turn them out as you're doing this position, this movement. Good. If you need to bend the knees as well, it's completely there for you. Even if you're very tight, you can take 1 or 2 blocks underneath your sit bones, and that's just going to give you more space in the pelvis. Wonderful. 2 more. Then from here, we're just going to slowly allow the arms to release back, extend the spine, and come into a nice chest opener or chest extension. Press those hands down, squeeze the elbows in, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen up through the spine. Good. If you can, maybe even taking a little mini lift of the hips. Wonderful. Before rotating back around to the front of the mat, in any way that feels good for you. You can actually drop onto the ground and just wiggle. You can come through into a plank if you want something a bit more strong. Otherwise, then press back into through your chaturanga and come back into your downward facing dog. And we're now going to do the other side. So I now want you to take the left leg and we're just going to step it straight away now in front. Again, use your blocks either side if you need a little bit of additional lift of the torso. And we're just going to very slowly, good, start to round and then extend the spine. Good. And just breathe, allowing yourself to get nice and accustomed to this position. Extend that back leg and rotate it to 45. Then from here, we're going to lift the arms up. And I want you to spiral them around and behind you. Good. Come into this nice shoulder extension. Keep that left knee moving forward. Breathe here. Wonderful. Now externally rotate the arms and lift the chest as you draw yourself up and into this nice extended position here. Maybe seeing if you can go a little bit further, lifting through the chest, and then we're going to round and release it forward. Good. Extend. And release it forward. Wonderful. And play as you're doing this movement. I actually find, I'm going to come quite close so you can see this, but I actually find that when I'm lifting up, I'm not just lifting my torso up, I'm actually using my foot to press down and help me extend. So that creates a little bit more stability in the lower body and allows a smoother extension of the hip and extension of the torso. Yeah, so you find more grounding. Keep that knee reaching forward. Yeah, fantastic. And then slowly drop it back. Wonderful. 2 more. Really nice. And now we're going to start to go into our rotations. So in the same way, keep that leg nice and rotated. You're here. We're now going to start to slowly rotate around. And then open. And just rotate around. And then open. The spine should be quite warm now, so we won't need to spend as long as we did on these. Just when you're ready, you can begin to slowly maybe move into the deeper variations, bending that left knee forward, starting to warm up through the thigh. Maybe starting to rotate and squeeze those inner thighs together. Try not to put the hand on the floor. Good. Really nice. Wonderful. Taking yourself into that Gomukhasana variation if that's there for you. Into the spiral. Wonderful. So in any way, wherever you are, you can just drop the knee down and just sit down into that Gomukhasana. Otherwise, you can also try squeeze, 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 slowly lower those knees down to release forward, to then gently lift back up. And lower it down into your Skandasana, to then lift back up. Play with those two transitions. Nice, really good. Yeah, fantastic. Really nice for 3. Awesome. For 2. And then on your last one now, we're going to take that right arm and we're now going to allow it to release down. We're just going to come through a little mermaid position, reaching it forward. And again, from here, you can just start to externally rotate and internally rotate, just moving that leg and trying to twist in any way that feels good for you. You can even try and do it without your hands, maybe just allowing it to come into a little figure 4 and then squeezing it in, figure 4. So it's just about, it's not even really about stretching the leg, it's just about moving it and trying to actively move it in as many different ways as you possibly can, trying to control it and challenge the movement habits that you might have. Good. Now from here we're going to extend it back. This time we're going to move straight into a little bridge position. So I actually want you to take your arms back. We're going to bend the knees ever so slightly. Fingertips are going to go outwards. And I want you just to very gently lift the hips into a little crab-like position. Now from here, we're just going to find a nice easy spinal extension. So what I want you to do is you're going to shift the weight into the right arm. And you're just going to start to rotate the torso and just press away through the arm and then release it down. We're just going to do that with the left arm as well. So moving into almost, you might be able to see that we're going to be prepping towards a little wild thing. But I want you to start this by feeling this engagement of the shoulder. It's the shoulder going from extension into a flexed position. This rotation here, which gives you that movement of the torso. Good. 2 more times. Down, up, lovely, down. And then maybe you can start to draw the other arm over, just very gently. Lifting it up. Maybe trying to lift those hips and drop the arm down. Good. Remember, taking it only as far as feels good for you. Pressing through the heels, using that strength of the glutes. All of that work that we've just done on the legs is going to help you here. Lifting from the hips, not the lower back. Pressing through the arm, opening through the shoulders. You can even maybe try and do little transitions if that feels good for you. Again, remember, only go to a place that is good in your body. There's no rush to move on to anything that doesn't sit or feel right. Yeah, lovely. Just 2 more. Fantastic. And then when you're ready, just allowing the sit bones to drop, keeping the arms back. Let me shift. Keeping those arms just back behind you. And now I want you to actually squeeze the heels, or not the heels, squeeze the hips towards the heels so the arms are reaching behind. Press the palms into the ground and just feel this lovely opening to the front of the chest. Move into a nice extension, or passive extension. And then I want you just to start to drop the knees from side to side. And just begin to release out through the spine. Good. And as you're doing this, just start to rotate the head from side to side. Take little movements, maybe nod it up and down. Again, we're not moving crazily into a big range. And if you're feeling it in your elbows in this extension, lessen. So just draw yourself out a little bit and press the hands into the floor. That's going to create a little bit more integrity up the arm. Good, for 2. Wonderful. Now from here, stay in this slight extended position with the sit bones close to the heels. And then from here, all I want you to do is you're going to very gently reach your right arm forward You can very gently reach your left arm forward. See if you can stay in this little hold, working the abdominals, and then very slowly, very, very, very slowly, begin to release all the way into the ground, releasing down through the spine, and just stretching the arms overhead, coming into a nice interlinked position with the arms. And again from here, just dropping those knees from side to side. This time maybe taking them through a full reclined Baddha Konasana as a transition. And just allowing that breath to stay long and easy. And then maybe allowing yourself to release onto one side for a held twist here. Maybe opening the arms out to the side, relaxing into your cactus, or just keeping them overhead or down next to the waist. And then opening up, moving to the other side, and just breathing here. And then slowly, when you're ready, just drawing those thighs up and into the chest, giving yourself a little rock out. If you'd like to take plow pose, that's an option for you to finish with. So you can just take the arms next to your body or up and overhead and just gently send the legs up and over towards the top of the mat. You can point or flex the toes, doesn't really matter. Just allow yourself to breathe here, extending through the back. And then when you're ready, just allowing the legs to very slowly drop down in towards the ground. And just allowing them to gently release. Maybe straightening them out nice and long. Giving yourself a little wiggle with the feet, the wrists. Drawing a full breath in and out. And then again, inhale. And exhale. And just allow yourself to gently move into your final comfortable resting space. Feeling this inhale and exhale, this movement of the breath in and out of the body. Allow yourself to just note where your breath is. Feeling the length, moving all the way up and out.
And then slowly just allowing yourself to feel this breath pulling in through the nose, slowly, fully expanding the belly, the ribs. And then a full exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Just allow this breath to settle, gently allowing it to draw you back into your body, into this space on your mat, in your room. Feel it draw back into your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles. And in your own time, just become aware of everything moving, breathing into your body. Maybe allow it to just gently start to rock the head from side to side. Maybe taking little neck movements. Release through the shoulders. And then when you're ready, maybe drawing the arms up and overhead. Reaching out long. Just feeling this full extension through the whole of the body here. Fall gently in your own time, rolling onto one side. And just allowing yourself to take a moment to come fully back into your body, into your breath. And just become fully present here. Become fully present in this space. Before gently drawing up into a seated position. Crossing the legs. And just closing the eyes and just settling. I always like to ask people just to be in this moment, just finding the breath and just finding the stillness. And just maybe feeling, noting. You don't need to change, don't judge. Instead, just be. And just allow yourself to be wherever you are. And then when you're ready, gently drawing the hands into a gentle prayer, the thumbs towards the forehead. And then when you're ready, exhale. Just gently bow down, allowing the breath to release into the earth. Just sealing your practice and sending your thanks for sharing today. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed.